On TV, the Jon and Kate plus 8 Gosselins looked beautiful. 8 kids, a big house, ideal chaos. But beneath those happy scenes lay a darker story. Hannah Gosselin, Jon's daughter, is risking everything to come up. She's finally revealing what happened behind the scenes after years of silence. No more silence. No more shielding her attackers. Unfiltered truth. You must know this isn't rumor. This video explains Hannah's revelations and why the world needs to hear them. From hidden journals to judicial battles and controlled media narratives. Kate made them choose sides and erred. It appeared dramatic. Another tabloid-worthy custody twist in a family America thought it understood. The daughter moves live with her ex-father as a teenager. What else except manipulation, revolt, or both? The version most people thought wasn't what it looked like. One of the Gosselin children is finally speaking up years later. Instead of headlines or charges, use the harsher reality. Not on the front pages. Though it didn't trend, it affected everything. She's risking everything to tell you the truth. You may realize we were mistaken about her, him, or Kate after hearing it. After understanding what happened behind closed doors, the question isn't why she departed. Her longevity was due to it. You must know this. Hannah stayed with her family. She left the breaking version. She didn't escape. She ran to the only calm parent. Unseen footage was worse than you thought. The show depicted controlled pandemonium, 8 kids, a full house, and a trying mom. Hannah Gosselin remembers control, not pandemonium. So much control that she couldn't always use the bathroom. If the cameras weren't ready, neither was she. An entire day could be divided by what needs to be shot next. Lunches, car journeys, and chores mimicked sitcom sequences. Emotions weren't always captured. They were made. Crying? Repeat for recording. Not upset enough? Retry with more tears. It wasn't direction, in demand. Life didn't affect the youngsters. They were alive. You wrecked the take if you couldn't deliver. Kate, not a producer, yelled then. The warmth dissipated off camera, and when one sibling froze mid-line or refused to grin on cue, the cameras were cut, voices were raised, and the next few minutes were silent. They were trained, not disciplined. Hannah said this happened often. She believes the production staff observed it, but concealed it for Kate. They softened and cleaned up the final cuts. Rough edges gone. Kate's rage was outside the frame. It appeared disciplined when it took flight. It appeared structural. She claims it was fear. A large, close-knit family formed its own brand, so hiding anything that didn't fit was necessary to maintain it. If a child hesitated or refused to grin for a shot, it wasn't simply a mood, it was an issue that needed to be fixed before the cameras rolled again. Hannah recalls a sister flinching during a shot. Their tears were absent. They didn't tantrum, they mistimed it. They were shouted at until they broke down, then consoled enough to get a good take. No one saw this in the promos or behind the scenes. Just kids losing privacy, spontaneity, and occasionally safety. All for a few more clean TV minutes. It seemed like family to viewers. It felt like a show to them. Every smile practiced. Every breakdown is planned. Every unsuitable time was eliminated. Kate used her journal against us. Hannah Gosselin's childhood in Kate's home goes beyond the cameras. They contain a worrying written record. Hannah said Kate kept comprehensive journals on each child. These were not notes a parent would write to chart milestones or remember joy. These logs recorded every mistake, disobedience, and even the kids' moods. Not to guide her parenting, but to excuse it, especially penalties. Hannah discovered these journals' ramifications later in life. When she saw her name next to rebellious, it was shocking. She didn't understand the phrase then. However, she saw how this title would influence her over time. Kate punished any sign of independence or resistance. Journal entries helped her track transgressions. That could hurt the kids later. Hannah describes a unique sort of discipline. The notes were weapons for control. Kate used them like swords when the cameras were off and the public image was at stake. These journals were for more than self-reflection. They became records that supported draconian sentences, but that wasn't all. Kate's writings became court documents after the Gosselins' personal lives made headlines. They were used in court to support Kate's story of being a misunderstood but tough mother trying to preserve order. Hannah was more than a daughter in those journals. She was an example of defiance and required correction. Her every move was analyzed and recorded. As she resisted, her behavior became fixable. A circle of control stifled spontaneity and childhood freedom. Bad behavior wasn't the only focus. Kate wanted a perfect structure that could never be disputed. Hannah found the word rebellious more than a clue to her mother's approach. It reminded her that defining herself had always been difficult. She fought for more than independence. She fought a recorded, dissected, and used control system that broke her down. Kate found being herself offensive. Kate recorded every moment of that revolt in her writings. They publicized my problems. Here's reality. After Hannah left Kate's custody, the media portrayed her as tough and defiant. Public perception stated she was a difficult teen with behavioral concerns. Hannah claimed this was a NA media ploy to undermine her. The problematic child rumors were false. It was a story to advance a broader goal. Hannah says, moving in with Jon changed her story from seeking stability to being an unruly child. Tabloids labeled her a troubled teen, but she had no diagnosis, professional assistance, therapy, or intervention, only exile. She claims this narrative was part of the public's attempt to justify her departure from Kate's home as rebellion, rather than a desperate yearning for calm. Hannah's life was very different from the media's portrayal of her as a troubled youngster. She never had major behavioral issues that would necessitate such strong labeling. Media sources called her unruly, using anonymous sources and tabloid gossip, never referencing a professional evaluation or diagnosis. These designations were only excuses for leaving a suffocating household. Additionally, this story wounded and ostracized her. Hannah had nobody to help her through the emotional consequences. Her public image unfairly stigmatized her. She was ignored instead of helped. Tabloids covered her battle. Every attempt to contact her siblings was silenced. A silence of fear, not hostility. Those who defied Kate and the family risked being portrayed as villains. Hannah navigated her new life with Jon alone without support, while the media portrayed her as undeserving of pity. She says the truth is straightforward. She wasn't worried. She wasn't hard. Her only goal was to survive a terrible predicament. The remaining siblings cannot speak. After leaving her mother's house, she sought to contact her siblings. She found no distance. It was quiet. Long, thoughtful silence. "I can't talk about this," one text said, after weeks. "Please stop." She got nothing else. No talk or recollection shared, just a shutdown. She now thinks silence isn't natural, is made. Some siblings are still under restrictive agreements, NDAs, or verbal cautions to never discuss family affairs. Kate's crew has allegedly used gag orders to hide domestic facts for years. Even colleagues, babysitters, and friends faced legal threats if they spoke up. That terror was public as well as private. The Today Show interview with Kate and her then 13-year-old twins, Maddie and Kara, was one of many difficult moments in the Gosselin family. The part was a fun family update. It became a live control show. Kate interrupted the girls, saying, "Maddie, your words, your chance. Expel it." She tried to cover for them by saying they were all right, but Maddie, plainly uneasy, revealed her mother had said everything. Later, co-host Savannah Guthrie said it made her uneasy. Hannah recognizes cringe-worthy experiences as familiar. She thinks the household always felt compelled to show a united, joyful image, even when it didn't match reality. The message was plain on TV and in private, she claims. Avoid contradicting the story. Her loyalty isn't at stake. She doesn't think her siblings defend Kate because they agree. She thinks they're terrified of what they've been warned will happen if they speak. They've learned to associate silence with safety, whether under legal or emotional duress. She also notes the weaponization of family, how Kate meticulously recorded each child's behavior, not only for court, but also to develop a case against them in real time, generating ongoing surveillance. After leaving that setting, some siblings may still worry that what they say may hurt them or someone they love. She understands their silence. That doesn't help. She struggled to comprehend that growing up together doesn't imply they'll stay together. Those who stayed face pressure. Laws and emotions make honest communication practically impossible. When a parent controls the narrative via media, attorneys, and a history of tight public messaging, speaking out becomes perilous. She doesn't blame. For them, she worries. She hopes those fears will fade and they'll remember they weren't alone in that house and that someone else survived. Their silence isn't only painful until then. It's telling. When siblings won't declare, "I'm okay," it's control, not just distance. She says that control remains deep. What my dad did correctly and regretted. She discusses closed-door honesty for the first time. Her father, Jon Gosselin, made subtle admissions about his failures in their conversations. He avoided rewriting history. He didn't blame others. He told her he should have protected her and others sooner. Jon told her he overstayed in the public eye, assuming he could handle the fallout. Fame, media upheaval, and custody war consumed them. He said he should have left earlier, taken the kids out, and turned off the cameras. Back then, he was afraid. Not just Kate, but the court system, public outrage, and losing his limited chance to see his children. He lives with his failure to fight harder every day. She doesn't glorify him. He made mistakes. One thing he never done. He never misled her about himself or the problem. The world made their family a spectacle, but Jon chose truth over image. He stopped pursuing public approval and focused on repairing trust with the youngsters he could reach. She once asked him why he didn't bring Kate back to court, why he didn't fight for all 8. The answer was tired, not dramatic. He didn't think he had a chance, was financially and emotionally exhausted, and feared pressing more would make matters worse for the kids in her possession. Though she didn't like the response, she accepted it. It existed. Today, their friendship is built on discussions, not perfection. After seeing that, he regrets not shielding them sooner and stepping in when the red flags were clear. Acknowledges he should have known better. He also realized that showing up, listening, and being honest was a solid start. It's evident who sought to make it right when she contrasts others' silence to his candor. She explains, "He's not perfect, but he didn't lie to me." After everything, that honesty became its own safety. Perhaps not in the past, but now. Producers looked aside as we broke down. Recalling it doesn't bother her. While the youngsters broke down in real time, the boom mic stayed up, the cameras never cut, and the producers, grown-ups employed to watch them, stood still. Mental breakdowns, private punishments, and physical discipline. The crew witnessed it all, yet the red recording light remained on. Everything was cool and professional, she remembers. How the camera operators would reset for the next good scene minutes after being chastised or humiliated in front of the crew. One moment, they cried in a bedroom. Next, they sat at the kitchen table pretending to laugh over pancakes. Nobody inquired about their well-being. No one told the director to stop. They watched everything, she says, and filmed as usual. How the show handled the aftermath hurt more than the consequences. It lacked documentary transparency. It staged. Instead of warfare, B-roll showed embraces and birthday parties. Producers weren't impartial. They actively created a lie. Sometimes she tried to stop filming after a punishment, but it didn't matter. The timetable always came first. She recalls them saying, "We just need 5 more minutes, or we won't use this if you don't want us to." It was always used. Saying no too often was considered an attitude problem. The residence didn't seem like home. Weekend call times for kitchen lighting rigs. Each space was designed for camera viewpoints. She calls it life in an uncontrolled playhouse. Both emotionally and structurally, the walls were thin. Everyone could hear someone crying, but no producers or helpers helped. All participated in the production. It was a skillfully staged appearance of familial chaos based on silence and acquiescence. Her voice tightens when she pronounces the verdict. Not reality TV, a jail set. Although they were supposed to protect us, the producers chose the shot. No adult yelled, "Cut." Nobody said, "Enough." She's finally confessing. "I'm risking everything to be honest." Time. People think I fled. I didn't. I ran to the quietest parent. Thus, Hannah Gosselin finally spoke. She spoke unvarnished, not in court or through lawyers. No grand custody grab or stunning tabloid headline. It was much worse. The quiet truth of a daughter forced to choose and punished for failing. Public belief for years was that Jon Gosselin had taken Hannah, altered the story, and possibly manipulated her. That didn't happen. Hannah wasn't taken. She was uncoached,